Okay, 8-2, use the Pythagorean theorem. So using the Pythagorean theorem in word problems is kind of what that means, and just some keywords that you'll want to look for. So the Pythagorean theorem can be used to solve a variety of problems. Remember, if you're missing the hypotenuse, what is the hypotenuse? It's this guy, the hypotenuse. That's always your longest side, usually C. If you're missing the hypotenuse, you can use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If you're missing a leg, like we did in 8-1, you can use these shortcuts. You don't have to do that, okay? But it might help just in case you forget to subtract, or if you think you might forget to subtract, then those shortcuts are easy. Just remember, you're going to subtract whatever you have from the c squared, okay? So example 1, a professional ice hockey rink is 200 feet long and 85 feet wide. What is the length of the diagonal of the rink? Okay, so what does diagonal mean? It means slanted like that. So they drew you a picture. Sometimes they won't do that. But we're looking for the diagonal C. That's what we don't know. We've got the length. We've got the width. So we want to solve it. So we want to plug those things in. So we've got A, B, and C. And so they did that here. Or replace A with 200, blah, blah, blah. So they flipped them. Same thing. I'll do it over here with my own stuff. So A squared, we'll say 85 squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay? So 85 squared, I'm going to put this in the calculator all together. So when I get a big number, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting this whole thing in the calculator together. So 85 squared plus 200 squared is, holy shnikes, 47,225. Okay, so am I done? Is that the length of C? No, that's crazy. That's C squared. So I have to figure out what C is by taking the square root of that. So 47,225, and we get 217.3. Okay, same answer. This has worked out for you, so if you get stuck, you can write that down. Exercises. Use the Pythagorean theorem to write an equation that can be used to answer the question, then solve. What is the length of the diagonal? What is the diagonal? That's the hypotenuse, or C, usually, okay? So we've got C, 6 is A, 6 is B, and we don't know C. So let's use that original formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So 6 squared plus 6 squared equals something squared. So 6 squared plus 6 squared, 72. And then I want to take the square root of that so I can figure out what just C is by itself, not C squared. 72. Okay, so 8.5. If you guys want to, I'd really think it would be a good idea if you want to try to work these out first and then hit play and check and make sure that you're doing these right, okay? Especially if you're using a shortcut, which we haven't had to use yet, but just saying. How long is the kite string? So again, we're looking for C, so I can just use the plain old A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So this is A, this is B, and that's C. So 30 squared plus 25 squared equals something squared. So 30 squared plus 25 squared. These together in the calculator is what I'm doing to get this number. 1525 equals C squared. So I want to take the square root of that. 1525. And I get 39 about. Okay. Number 3, what's the height of the ramp? Here we go. So we can use a shortcut here. So that's what we're missing. But we've got A. I don't know why they're flipped around. I always label A up here, but it doesn't really matter because the legs are really interchangeable, so that's okay. So since I have C and I have a leg, what am I going to do? Am I going to add or am I going to subtract? going to subtract. I'm going to take c squared, and I'm going to subtract the leg that I have the measurement for. So that would be a. So minus a squared equals b squared. Okay, then plug those numbers in. 15 squared minus 10 squared equals b squared. If you're all about shortcuts and you are getting really, really good at this, an even more short of a cut would be to take the square root, put that in your calculator, and you can literally put that whole thing. Does that make sense? Like, you can do it this way, like 15 squared minus 10 squared minus 10 squared is 125. And then next step down, take the square root of that. 11.2. Okay, you can do that. You'll get the same answer if you straight up plug this whole thing in the calculator. And I'm only saying to do this if you are comfortable with what you're doing so far. So if you in the calculator hit second x squared, put your square root, and then underneath that put 15 squared minus 10 squared. So if we do that, 15 squared minus 10 squared, and you're going to get the exact same answer. You're just getting it a little quicker. Okay, but that's if you feel comfortable doing that. Last one, number 4, how tall is the tree? So we've got a leg missing. We're going to say that this is A, because that's how I like to label it. And if we're missing a leg, what can we do? We're going to add or are we going to subtract? We're going to subtract the leg we know from the hypotenuse. Okay, so it's the leg that we know. In our case, since we labeled it ourselves, b squared equals a squared, or h, technically. So I'm going to say 18 squared minus 7 squared equals a squared, or h. And again, if you want to plug this whole thing in the calculator, square root of 18 squared minus 7 squared, you go for it, because you're going to get your answer like 2 seconds quicker than everybody else. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You can plug this in the calculator, 18 squared minus 7 squared, and you're going to get 275. And then you've got one more step to do. That's the only thing different about doing this, is you're going to have to break it down into 2 steps. Square root of 275 is 16 point, we'll say 6. Okay, and you're done. I'm going to talk about a couple questions on the homework page, so if you're done with this notes, just don't turn the video off yet, just hang on. Okay, on this homework side, or the word problem side, I want you guys to make sure you're looking for keywords to let you know what's going to be A, what's going to be B, and what's going to be C. So like on 9, a pool table is 8 feet long and 4 feet wide. How far is it from one corner pocket to the diagonally opposite corner pocket? Okay, diagonal, that's your C. That's what you don't know. 10, the course for a local triathlon has the shape of a right triangle. The legs of the triangle consist of a 4-mile swim and an 11-mile run. The legs, okay? The hypotenuse is what you don't know. A ladder 17 feet long is leaning against a wall. The bottom of the ladder is 8 feet from the base. How far up the wall is the top of the ladder? So you have, let's see, you have a ladder that's leaning against a wall. Here's your wall. Here's your ladder. And here's the distance from the bottom of the ladder to the base. Okay? Ladder, base, wall. Okay? Y'all can figure that out. Tara drives due north, just for kicks. This is north, in case you guys didn't know. Then east, which is this way. So this is north, this is east. So how far is Tara from her starting point? So That's what you're looking for. 13, a wire 31 feet long is stretched from the top of a flagpole to the ground at a point of 15 feet from the base of the pole. This is just like number 11. So a wire 31 feet long is stretched from the top of a flagpole. Here's a flagpole. So it goes from the top of this, it's got a little flag, cute, to the ground, and it's 31 feet long. Okay, the wire is that long, and it's going to go down here, which is 15 feet from the base. How high is the flagpole? Number 14, Isaac's television is 25 inches wide, 18 inches high. What is the diagonal size of Isaac's television? Diagonal, that's what you don't know. See